Warming up.
Mighty Thor. No connection to today's discussion. I don't know. You have all these waiting music songs that play in my head when we're doing the thumbnail.
But we're just warming up and we'll be starting in a few.
I'm gonna tag. It's like, what am I doing? I'm tagging. Was ist los?
So this distance is too far for normal. But too close for normal, but too far for supported. So I'm like struggling. I should have the laptop closer next time.
Yeah, you're no longer limited to like have it.
Oh boy.
Oops, I didn't get that right. So we're just self-promoting.
Please share the link if you are there. Please comment so we know you're there. We cannot see who is present unless you send your comment. So please do comment once you're present.
Oh, Nur Absal.
A bit annoyingly funny how during this part we're like sending. We both look so snobbish because we're both
We're typing, we're
both,
squinting.
our head raised up while looking down.
Yeah, because we're trying to say in frame, but then also we're like working.
True. Okay, I almost had that to Dr. Gwen.
Oh, yeah, let's not do that. Let's not do that to your pulmonologist.
Oh, it's showing quarantine check-in.
Oh, I didn't change the caption. Sorry. I typed it but didn't swap it. Oh well. At least it's a board game one, so you're gonna you'll create a new thumbnail for it, right?
Mm-hmm. Hello, Mitch.
Yeah, admittedly we haven't played this game a lot.
It's been a while.
I was looking at like track plays. It's like few and far between. But to be fair, because it feels like it's a middle of the night game. It's a in between game.
It's one of those we also overlook.
That's true. That's true.
When we think of
because or like parang when you think worker placement, then you're gonna think of something big, and then although it's not quite worker placement, but it feels like it. It's just smaller in these darn timeline cans.
So Mitch, we'll be using your song soon.
I don't know how we're gonna do it. Like we'll cue a video or
I think we'll have to try to build a video.
Build a title sequence around, or even if it's just a static image with the music.
So it's hi hellos, then we'll play the video, and then
no, we should play the video and do hi, and then we can do warm up, and then we play the theme song, and then we do introduction. I don't know.
But what's our transition from warm up to the video? See? So that's why I feel like
it's like Antutan says when they do their show, and then they'll do an opening number, and then bigla na lang play the theme. I don't know.
Okay, we'll start in a few more minutes. I guess we'll give it 1 or 2 more minutes.
Yes, but if you are watching, we'd appreciate if you would like the video on the platform you're on, share it with fellow friends, and it's a Monday, so it's a board game episode. So if you have people who might also be interested in a board game, then let's get going. Help us, because that's the challenge of live streams. It's always like hustling to build your audience at the beginning. I mean, don't you want to watch us instead of like listen to the president's televised meeting, so we're we're less offensive. So much more pleasant to the ears.
That's true. Twitter. Did you send on Twitter?
Of course, I see it on Twitter.
I think better than YouTube because not everyone.
Yeah, we're not into spaces, but then we have this stream, so I guess it's sort of similar. And Mina is here. Hello, Mina. That means there's one other person watching who has not announced themselves. Who are you?
All right, I guess that's it.
Yeah,
We can start. We can start. The duck is ready, and this is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
It is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again.
So see, if we played the theme song here, it feels weird because we want to transition to the topic right away. So actually, we played before.
No, but how? So like warm up. And I guess we can start. Then we'll
Yes,
play,
and then we'll play the video, and then we'll come
when
back.
the video
And then
ends.
this is Toby, and this.
Okay,
All
okay,
right,
okay.
right. It's a concept.
Okay.
The show is evolving. Oh yeah.
All right. So this is episode 192.
I think it is. I may have lost count, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
And it's a Monday, so it's another board game, and we're talking about two because we're talking about the Builders.
Yeah, it's they're standalone expansions. Okay, the Builders are games that come in annoying cans. No,
Made
Okay.
by Frédéric Henry.
hope we pronounced that right.
The Builders are 2 to 4 player games that are set in either the medieval age or the age of antiquity, as they call themselves.
Although it's like very specifically Egypt.
Mhm.
It's like very ancient Egypt.
So both are card drafting action point games where building sets allows you to win. You have a set of cards ranging from tools to buildings, structures, and workers. And by taking actions, you hire workers, you set them at work on projects, you get money, and you try to be the first one to score the points needed to win the game.
Okay, so and I think we can go into components in a bit. Let me open up one over here. You might as well open up the other one if you want. But okay, so first off, I appreciate. I mean, they're quite quaint, but plastic coins. But they're not so bad actually. They feel like
They're
If-
nice to hold.
if you played like Connect Four as a kid,
Mm.
it's kind of like that texture. So you got a fair amount of plastic coins, and then
You have a bunch of cards.
yeah. So first you kind of have the buildings, right, and then
I'll bring it closer.
each building. Okay, so that's the built side na pala, no? So
Yeah.
so let's flip to the other side. So when it's still a plan, there are 4 possible things that you're gonna need to build the building, and the little vertical lines indicate how many of each sort of resource or skill or tool or whatnot you need to build. And in order to get around to that, you will notice that you'll have workers, and the workers have like I can't do it with one
The
hand. but
corresponding matching.
have the corresponding skill things, and we do it the other way around. Yeah. So then you can see like this guy, if he works on this project, he covers 2 of the stone, but we need 3. He covers 2 of the wood, which is just enough. He doesn't have the whatever measuring thing,
Mhm.
and he doesn't have the ceramic tile thing. So then you'd maybe want to supplement with another person who can help with those skills. This is probably not a good match. Okay. So this guy helps with wood. We didn't need help, but he gives one of the measuring things, and then he gives some of
Mhm.
the curved pipe piece, and so on and so forth.
So
Okay.
by having enough workers to fulfill the requirements of a structure, you are then able to build your building. And each building has either rewards, whether they come in the form of points or they come in the form of
There's
money.
They come money and points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to decide which ones you'll aim for sometimes, because sometimes you'll get the low scoring By slow, we mean zero.
Yes.
Scoring buildings for the money you need in order to invest them on future buildings.
Some of them are tools that when you build them, they act as permanent benefits when you build stuff. So this one always gives brick.
Now, the tricky part about workers, though, is you can't just assign workers willy-nilly. Workers get paid, and you have to be sure that you can afford to pay a worker when
So-
you set them to play.
There. So at the top of the card, there's a cost of the worker. Now it's funny, which is always like counterintuitive to me when we're playing the game, because one of the actions is you can take out an available worker
Yes,
from the like market spread, but you don't pay
anything. Yeah.
to take the worker. He just becomes part of your workforce. It's like you're a film studio, gathering stars to you.
Now,
It's only when they work that you pay them.
Now, whenever you assign a worker to work, you must pay immediately the amount that they are worth. The tricky part of the game is the fact that you are actually allowed to play more than one worker each round. However, the costs for all the workers gets tremendously higher the moment you start to do more than one.
Yeah, so it's a weird control mechanism where like there is no additional costs apart from the base hiring cost to play a worker to a structure per
Mhm.
turn. But if you play more than one worker, there are additional fees and then it gets higher. But you'll be able to build faster. So then you kind of, is it worth the benefit because I'm going to get a reward anyway.
Mhm. So every round, you are allowed 3 free actions. You can take an additional action for 5 money each time. Actions include opening a site wherein you choose one of the 5 buildings that's in place. You place it in front of you to represent that it is now a building that you will be building, and a new one, a replacement, comes into the market. There's recruit a worker where you take one of the 5 available workers, you keep it in front of you, and a replacement is drawn immediately. There's assigning a worker to a building, wherein you pay the cost of the worker to work on a building. And as long as the needs are eventually being met, then the building can eventually be flipped over. The workers go back to your pool and they're done working for that round. The last option is to get money, and there will be times you'll be forced to do this if you're not planning your turns well. You can forego 1, 2, or 3 actions to get 1, 3, or 6 money correspondingly. And trust me, like many games that are smart enough to use math, this is one of those games wherein
You're gonna be short one or two
Short
every now and then.
ah,
Oh, and then the playing multiple worker cost is actually not more money. It's more actions,
mhm.
which is the pain. Because then like sending one worker is one action, but sending a second worker will take 2 more actions.
Yeah.
So now you've spent 3. So then it's like, oh my god, there's all your actions. And there are few ways to get like extra actions. So you kind of work what you have.
So the game is quite elegant in that way. I'll try to show this back image. Hopefully that kind of helps show. So here we have a sample of a building, and we have a number of workers that have been used to fulfill it. We have some samples of the other workers and stuff. There are interesting spreads of worker stats. Some of them are like super balanced. They're like 1 in everything.
Yes.
But some of them are like super
Super special.
specialized, like 5 wood, or no, not 5, 3. 3 wood, or 3 architect, or something. So it's an interesting challenge to ignore the masters and stick to the smaller laborers or apprentices because they're cheaper. But then again, they might mean they're working slower.
Yeah, so like for comparison, a laborer, as they call it, typically has 1 stat at 1 and 1 stat at 2, and it typically costs 3 to pay them.
Mhm.
Whereas a master tends to have 1 stat at 3 and 1 stat at 2 and costs 5.
Hmm.
So 2 laborers would still not equal the benefit of, well, be a little more than 1 master, but would cost you
Mhm.
more. So then is that really a worthy trade-off? And then the craftsman is the most balanced because he's 2-2. But still, it's like, I gotta think about it.
So far we've described to you the base game, which is Middle Ages.
Middle Ages was the first to come
Yeah.
out.
Antiquity adds a few new twists to the gameplay. In Antiquity, they now introduce a few new a few new card types. And Antiquity is a standalone expansion. You do not need nor mix it with Middle Ages to enjoy.
Yeah, because that would make sense. No.
So part of what has been added in Antiquity are the presence of, I forgot the term, I'm looking for it. There's investments. You can take cards from the investment line. You can free prisoners. You can buy tools.
Mm-hmm.
You can take out loans. You can educate workers.
And that's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, go explain. Because I don't fully remember. We played this like 3 times.
So, in terms of investments, you may choose to take one of the cards from the investment line. In addition to the required action to take the card, most investments have a fixed cost as well. So, for example, there might be a prisoner. The prisoner is worth 1 victory point and 7, but you get 7 coins. Sorry, there's a 7 coin cost to purchase the prisoner. They're like a craftsman in terms of abilities.
Yeah, they're 2-2.
But then, if you take an action to free them, then that will basically eat up one of your actions. It reduces the cost and removes the victory point penalty for the rest of the game. So
That's funny. Then I'm like, there's always that. Why would you motivated to get the prisoner? Because of the stats. It's just the stats are better.
And they're cheaper than I guess.
Because they start expensive at 7, and then they become cheaper.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So
Yeah.
tools, on the other hand, have a fixed cost of 2 coins, and just like the earlier ones, you can use them like workers. They must be sent with a worker. You can't send the tool on its own. The best part about tools is they don't have salaries to pay when you assign them.
Yay.
And then only a freed prisoner or a worker can use a tool.
Prisoners cannot.
Yeah.
Prisoners don't get tools.
Loans will cost you victory points, but you can pay them back before the game ends. Sorry, but you will pay them back when the game ends, which is painful. And then educating workers allows you to place these transparent cards that allow you to upgrade their stats.
Well,
There.
it's 1 stat at a time and upgrade them up to 3. So it's kind of like if you ever play Gloom, it borrows that principle of the translucent overlay. So like, let me try to demonstrate. So I have this craftsman who has no brick skill, and then I can upgrade him so that suddenly he has 3 brick. So he's super valuable. There is that. Okay. So, yeah, the antiquity thing, I don't know. It added interesting systems, but I don't know if it needed all these systems. Like the upgrades, there's only 1 upgrade per type of action. Yeah, so
It's a race to
super
get
super
them.
limited. It costs 7 to do. It takes a fair amount of time.
So quick comparison: Middle Ages is your basic level game.
Straightforward, just play
quick
it.
to learn. The way of spending actions for additional workers can be a bit of a weird mind moment of wait, sorry, can you repeat that again?
Yeah.
But then once you get the hang of when to play workers and then when to cash in the building to get a new one, because you're not required to just finish one building at a time. You can,
Yes, you can trigger
you can
multiple,
juggle.
and then you get a lot of rewards all at once.
That in itself is already an adorable system. It's got just enough meat, but at the same time, it's light enough. It feels like a good entry level game, but it's really more than an entry level game.
Yeah, because if you look at the way that Middle Ages is like even tagged on Board Game Geek, it's still tagged as a family game, which is fair enough. The Builders Middle Ages is quite the family game, and then I feel like Antiquity tries really hard to level up.
So it tries to hit the more gamer side of the game. It tries to add a bit more stratagem. It tries to add a bit more risk reward. Do I do this at the risk of losing points later?
Do I get a loan and then have to pay for it?
But it does give that meaty push for those who might feel the Middle Ages is too simple for them.
Minor quibbles. So on the one hand, the art is interesting because there are many different buildings,
Mhm.
and clearly the artist maybe has some degree of architectural background because those buildings are beautiful.
Mhm.
Because there is a partially constructed version and then the fully constructed version, and both look really good.
Mhm.
I mean, so I love the building cards in this game. Like
Yeah.
if I were more of a building nerd for like ancient structures and stuff. I mean, for like Middle Eastern antiquity structures, this is a great game.
And then I like the stories that form as you start building. I'm like, I have another church, and then the other one's like, well, I have a well,
Yes,
and mine has a castle, and
and I have a crane because I'm progressive
so
that way.
so it's nice in that level that you're looking at people. Hey, he's building a cathedral, and there's that little stories that form because you're now angry that someone's building a bigger structure than yours. Or like you'll laugh because you just got money for that. There's no victory points. No one cares.
On the flip side, though, the people art, and especially in Middle Ages, kind of disappointed me because okay, I mean I get it to be sort of thematically accurate. They're all guys. Um, I understand using the same character model with slightly different clothes. That's fine. That's like standard game
Mhm.
design, game production that you do. But then the fact that when you flip the card over and it's the exact same image,
Mhm.
then I don't know. It felt like a waste. Like we might as well have made a gender swap just for
Or
the heck of it,
like, it could have been a gender swap.
or a card back.
It could have been they look like they're waiting to be hired, so like they're seated or they're
Oh, that
relaxed,
I mean,
and then
like there
flipped
could have
over
been
they're
some sort of
working,
animation.
or maybe they're standing, but then there's the working side, so you can see them hammering and carrying stuff when you flip it. There could have been that
It's
potential.
super non-functional in the
Mhm.
Middle Ages game. At least in Antiquities, there's prisoners who flip over to freed prisoners.
Mhm.
But the laborers, masters, and craftsmen in Antiquities have the same like nope, it's the same guy on
Mhm.
both sides. So it was just a little weird.
I also feel there was a lost opportunity to make paranoma sorry um linking backgrounds,
Panorama.
panoramic displays, because you have cards laid out already.
That's
You're
true.
already aligning stats.
Hmm.
Then there could have been an interesting background that forms.
Even if it was just a repeating background, but it links perfectly
Yeah.
across all
So like
cards.
sometimes it has a mountain there, it has trees there, but then you can mix and match and it still just hits the right horizon. It could have been that more interesting. Money was fun, coins are okay, the weight is lighter than expected, but functionally they're there. They still feel like coins.
I don't need metal coins for this game.
The tin is a nice sound when you drop the metal coins in the metal tin. Clink, that's cool. Um, but at the same time, um, there's part of me that feels like the coins could have been nicer to look at.
Yeah, the pattern on the coins
It's
themselves.
it's the compass thing.
Yeah, it's a little weird. And then my minor thing is that okay, cute tin. It's I don't know if you can see there. It's embossed, so you can see the ribbing right.
Hmm.
But then because of that, they don't stack because of the pop up period. Then for a game line that is like its sequels, it doesn't stack unless you press it down, which will
Hmm.
ruin the embossed elements. So they just
And
don't
once again,
stack super
given
well.
it's a game where you connect the cards, this could have been
Yeah.
a visual that was forming. This could have been a visual that was forming as you buy the sets. Just potential that could have been,
But this is like the same production group that did Timeline, and then Timeline also had this same like many tins standalone, but they never got into that really pushing a unified design thing. To be
Mhm.
fair, these were made back in 2013 and 2015, and then like there's a lot more thought and artistry in board games in recent years. I feel, although 2015 isn't that far back too. Like the jump between this to this, maybe there could be more. Um, and I know like we're just nitpicking at this point. These are like really minor points. So it's um so what do we so in general like this game is like Middle Ages is a decent enough game to be just after Gateway. I
Yes.
don't think it's Gateway because it's still like weird economics, weird like assigning workers does
Mhm.
what versus what. There's still a lot of moving parts. But um, just beyond that, it's a nice step up in terms of complexity, but then still not like full on Caverna crazy.
Mhm.
And then it has principles similar to like worker placement, but really it's just this resource alignment thing,
Mhm.
because it's not true worker placement in the sense that you're not working with a
It,
shared set of actions that you're
it's
competing
only
for.
worker placement in the sense that
You're
you're
placing
placing the
a
worker.
worker, but because that's how we joked about it when we first played. Like, oh, it's like worker
And
placement.
no, they
But
also state on the cover that they're a worker placement. Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, they do. Oh my
See,
gosh,
but
because as Board Game Geek does not, because it's not a worker placement game. There are just workers that are placed, which is a primary mechanic.
so Mitch asks, is this one of the small box but amazing games inside? I'd say
It's a good
almost.
game.
I'd say almost because admittedly, when we first played this,
It was a revelation.
we were surprised how big it felt.
Yeah, it feels like enough system for a bigger box game.
However, we have also experienced Oink games, and
Art games blow your brain,
Oink
man.
games have established the small box big game experience.
Really big.
And-
Party game level
And
big
this
game.
is nothing compared to how big Oink games get.
Yeah. So like we were saying earlier, like the builders make for fun like in between games. Like um you warmed up with, I don't know, Azul or Splendor, and then you feel like you're gonna step up, then you can throw in the builders, and then you can play something big, like Lords of Waterdeep, or and the like. Or you just finished Through the Ages, you think you have enough brain power for one more game. I could probably throw in the builders right after that. So it's not a bad game, but it's probably not the first game you're gonna pull out during a game night. I feel it's not quite there. It's at the same time, I don't mind ending on it though, because it's like it's a cool down. If you get what I mean, this is like very gamer speak. But yeah, and then the art is take it or leave it. There's like really buff guys. They're really it's just funny that the skill of the guy is determined by the size of his chest. I mean, like the really skinny laborers only have 1-2 slashes, whereas the masters are like massive guys. And then in in antiquities that they're more in togas and partly not quite shirtless slaves. They always have some dregs of rags that they're still trying to wear. But it's just funny connotations that skinny is weaker, bigger is more skilled. But okay, whatever. Take it as it is. I don't know about the accuracy of the buildings, but I will say they're beautiful.
They're
That's
nice to look at.
I can't get over. I love putting them all together, and then even without like our wish list of a panorama connection of some sort, they when you have your tableau spread out and like, hey, I got a nice little like part of the city. So there's that. Great, good job for that for the builders, and actually the artist who is Sabrina Miramon has cover billing on both games together with the designer. So they're really proud of the art too, and I get it because even the cover of the tins are like quite evocative.
So the same artist did the art for Quadropolis, Photosynthesis,
Dice Hospital.
Dice Hospital, and many others.
Interesting. Mitch is asking how many players. Sorry, we
2 to
didn't
4.
cover that. So it's a 2 to 4 player game. They say it's for ages 10 and up, and they promise it plays about 30 minutes. And this, I think, is fairly legitimate.
Yeah.
This once you get over the mental gymnastics of how much does it cost me to play 2 workers in a turn, it works out. And then yeah, so that's it's not bad, right? It's a nice little middle of the game night game. Strategy. I don't know.
Grab the workers the moment they're nice because they don't cost you anything to have them, and there's no penalty in having too many.
Yeah. So, and then, I mean, obviously, it goes without saying that you will want to try to balance out your skills. So, like, you got a brick guy and a wood guy, and you want to make sure that when you put them together, there's limited overlap, unless you're deliberately aiming for
That way you
overlap for high stats.
maximize. That's where you maximize when you're building stuff.
I mean, and then the name of the game for maximum returns is minimum workers per building.
Mhm.
So like if you're struggling to like find the money to gather that third to pay that third worker when you put on the building, sometimes I feel like I'm better off like I only have one worker on it. I might wait on the market a bit longer
For a
for
better
a
work
better worker that
and make
fits
money
this.
instead.
Yes. So there is that consideration. I forget. Can you have multiple work sites?
Yes.
You can have multiple work sites. You can start multiple things, but then
Mhm.
it's sort of like that through the ages wonders problem, where like if because when you're building it, your resources are tied up to that
Yeah.
one thing, and you don't want to have too much money floating around unless you made money already from structures. Um, I forgot what's the end game trigger for this.
I think there was
It's
a
a point
certain number of
total.
crowns.
Yeah. There's a point. Crowns are points. Certain number of points.
So yeah, very simple, fun game. We've enjoyed this because it's fast to teach, quick to get, but it still feels challenging when you play.
And easy to bring around.
Mhm.
I mean, it's super portable, and like when if you notice when we opened it earlier, apart from the manual, it's quite full. It's like between the coins, the cards that come in two sizes because the building cards are big squares and the worker cards are playing cards out. It's quite big. There's a lot going on in this tin, so that I respect that. I think are there any other strategies for this that come to mind?
Don't underestimate tools. Tools and
Oh,
machines mean free labor, so always grab those when you can. They do tend to mean you're slowing down because you spent time to build something that didn't get you points.
and they don't even get a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
It's just you're really preparing for the future.
But again, you are investing in a free worker, so grab a tool when you can, but don't overdo tools. Too many tools means you're slowing down.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like every other turn, ideally, you should be building something.
Mhm.
Hopefully, it's a building. If you're building a tool every other turn, you're losing money.
Mhm.
You need to keep the cash flow going and build buildings because ultimately it's an economy game in that respect. Yeah. Any other
I think that's
points?
it.
Yeah, it's just quaint. It's just super quaint. I
Yeah.
know we got it because on the back of the tin it says worker placement. And we're like, what? This little thing is a worker placement game? That was a
Mhm.
discussion.
Of
And it's
course,
cute.
now knowing better, stuff like Mintworks might be better small container worker placement games. We don't have a copy of that.
Yeah, but we
Uh,
played it. It's interesting. So yeah, and then there's Oink, which not necessarily doesn't necessarily do worker placement games, but oh my god, if you're talking about amazing small games, Oink. I know we keep talking about like we plan to do an Oink games episode at some point because Toby has managed to secure a number of Oink games at
mhm,
significant expense in the secondhand market. So it's like a scavenger hunt on its own.
mhm.
You can may worker tapos you can place now. Yeah, it's accurate. You place a worker.
Okay, I guess that's it. That is the Builders Middle Ages and the Builders Antiquity. Um, get it if you can. It's still fun, but don't spend too much on it.
Yeah, you could secondhand this game. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
that's all the time we have for this episode. We had a lot of fun. We hope you'll join us again next time.
if you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. There are a couple of games in the request queue that we don't actually own, and no, Mitch, this does not mean you should be sending us copies, but we'll get around to it in time. You can follow us on Twitter, all Toby No
You
Shade,
can
RG
also
Sunico.
you can also check out our blog.
We're all over the place. We need a theme song.
for all the previous episodes and stuff about us. This week is a Mitch week
Practically,
because the next few topics are all proposed by Mitch.
yeah, we were just digging. To be fair, statistically, when you go through the question queue, you will most likely end up on a Mitch game, a Mitch suggestion. But
But
yeah, it slots out well. So tomorrow we're doing kimchi and other Korean side dishes, or
yes.
banchan. Is that how you pronounce it?
Mhm.
We don't have an episode on Wednesday. Well, so far. because I think we're going to be gaming one way or another. It's either our vampire game or probably gaming all night with friends because
Mm-hmm.
Thursday is a holiday. Thursday, we have an episode on Thursday. What's our Thursday?
Thursday was the things to look forward to.
Isn't that Sunday?
Oh, oh no.
Thursday is summer
There.
drinks.
Yeah, Thursday is summer.
Summer and cold drinks. Okay.
Mm.
And then Friday, we may not have an episode but because we have another game scheduled with a friend.
Mhm.
And then, but we're making that up with a Sunday where we'll talk about things to look forward to in quarantine. Okay. Yeah, so we got a lot going on. So hope you can tune in for the rest of the week. So yeah, be sure to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know what you think about this game. Have you played it? Do you wonder why this designer is obsessed with this size of game tin? Because timelines, man. So let us know in the comments. And be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. So, once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy.